All right, I'm here today with Daniel Sutner, an incredible accountant, and he's going to give us some tax saving tips. There's a lot to do when you own a home and tax savings, and you can leverage it so that at the end of the day, you're saving more money.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. All right, Danielle, tell me, if you are in the market to buy your first home, what is the best strategy to save up for that down payment?
Yeah, the first strategy would be to use the new government first home savings account. So recently the government created the first home savings account where you can contribute up to $8,000 a year, and that $8,000 is a deduction in your income. So that helps you save money on taxes. It'll increase your child benefit if you have a child.
Oh, okay.
Because your income is now lower. And then when you save up after all those years, you can then take all that money out tax-free. But it can only be taken out tax-free if it's to buy a home. So it's specifically set up. It's a combination of the TFSA and the RRSP. The income inside of it is tax-free, and the contributions are deductible up to $8K a year, $40K lifetime.
And that's for each spouse too?
That's for each spouse. So
Okay.
on a combined basis, it's $80,000. And over time, that can add up to $80,000 plus the investment income earned in it.
Yeah, amazing.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
So the first time home buyers plan only came into effect a year and a half ago. So let's say you missed the boat but have saved up in your RSP. What can you do with that to get into a first property?
Yeah, so if you're unable to use the first home savings account, you can still use the home buyers plan within the RSP. So what you do is you'll take out $60K or up to $60K, anything less than that, a maximum of $60K, and you can withdraw that tax-free for when you're purchasing your home. The only hack is that the government does require you to repay it to your RSP, so you do have the money for retirement. You have to pay it back over a 15-year period, and if you don't, they'll include the amount that you don't pay back in your income, $4,000 a year.
People come to me looking to invest in real estate, and when they're figuring out if they're going to make money or not, they slowly look at the property and maybe the rental income. They fail to consider the tax part of it. And if you don't have a good tax plan from the get-go, it can come to bite you in the back sometimes.
Yeah, so really the goal should be right at the beginning, like you said, is sit down with an accountant and tell them your long-term goals. Do you plan to rent this out for 30 years? Do you plan to sell the property in a few years? Is the goal just to earn rental income and have the property appreciate so you have the equity in the home? So if you take the depreciation expense when you're having the rental income, that'll help you in the short term, but in the long term, you're going to have to add that depreciation back when you sell the property, and your taxable capital gain will be a lot higher.
Oh, because you kept on making the value lower, so now when you sell for higher, that's the portion the government's looking to tax.
Exactly. They're going to add that amount back, and you'll have to pay a higher tax bill. So it's important to plan straight from the beginning what your goals are.
Definitely. As an accountant, what would you do with regards to investing property to make sure you're walking home with the most amount of money, not the government?
If I was buying an investment property right now, I would buy it and hold it for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I would earn the most fair market value rent that I could get, whatever rent income I could get, and then I would claim every expense there is. The property taxes, the mortgage interest payments, the utilities, the insurance, any repairs and maintenance. And then on top of that, I would claim the depreciation expense. When your property has a value, you can claim a percentage of that each year as depreciation. And then as value builds over time, because it takes a certain amount of time for the property to appreciate.
Yeah, I think you need a minimum of at least 5 years to really get that benefit.
Right. If you do it before then, you might lose out. So if I hold this property for 30 years, it'll have appreciated so much. By that point, when I'm ready to sell it, the income, the depreciation will be added back, and I'll have to have a higher capital gain. But that's okay because it'll have appreciated so much, we'll be able to foot that tax bill.
And you would have been maybe retired and you won't have that much income anyways.
It'll be a lot less income, we'll be in a lower tax rate. That's definitely what I would do, is hold it for as long as possible.
Yeah, that's the plan. Most people don't know this, but you can get money back after a renovation. Tell us how, Daniel.
So when you do renovations on your house, you can get the GST that you pay on it back. So you pay 13% in Ontario. When you pay $10,000, for example, worth of renovations, 13% of that would be $1,300. You can get that back. You file a GST rebate. There's a lot of people out there that do it for you, and you can get that whole thing back, up to $50,000 worth.
Nice. If you own a home, what can you write off for tax purposes?
So what happens is, because this has become a lot more common since COVID started, people have a home office now. A lot of people like to work from home. You can often claim the home office expenses. So whether that's your rent payments or your mortgage payments, the interest expense only, not the principal towards the mortgage, you can claim things like that, the Wi-Fi, your phone bill for the home.
Who has a
And
home phone?
yeah, okay. People that do have such a home phone still, you can claim the home office portion, not the entire 100%, but if you have the home office is 5% of your house, you can claim that as an expense
So if it's
on your
like 500
business.
square feet, it would be that
Exactly.
over
Yeah, it's
it.
prorated by the square footage, and usually we take something like that. I think the baseline is 10%, but the square footage of the office versus the rest of the home, you can take as an expense. Actually saved a lot from that this past year.
It adds up so much.
Yeah.
All right, if you're a real estate investor or considering investing in properties, what must you do beforehand to ensure that you're going to save on taxes?
So the first thing I would say is if you've already earned income inside your business, invest through there. Don't take money out and invest it in your personal name. The income's already been taxed in your business. Just reinvest those funds. If you don't own any businesses and you're just starting out in your real estate investing, it makes more sense to do it in your personal name. You probably can use the real estate losses. There'll be losses from the big interest rates that we have right now, and all mortgage interest is deductible. So that probably makes the most sense if you're starting out and you don't have any businesses already set up.
All right, why is it that owning a home sets you up for generational wealth?
The biggest advantage that the government has when you're buying your first home and to set up for generational wealth is that you get the principal residence exemption. So what that is when you plan to sell your home 10 years after you buy it, 20 years after, the capital gain that you have on that, which is what you sell the house for versus what you originally bought it for, is all tax-free. So usually when you sell an asset of that source, you would have to pay tax on that income. When it's your principal residence, it's all tax-free.
Yeah, and especially in a place like Toronto where houses have doubled or
Yeah.
even quadrupled in some neighborhoods in the past decade or so, to have that all in your pocket makes a massive difference.
Yeah, you don't have to pay it out. The only trick is that if you do live in there for such a short time, the government might say it's not considered a principal residence. So you have to make sure you're there for enough time. You really were living there with the right intentions. And it was all to be the intention of your principal residence.
Thank you for sharing all your tips regarding money saving and tax savings with regards to real estate. For more valuable content like this, be sure to subscribe and like the video. And to reach out to us, our contact is down below. We always would love to help you.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
Ciao.